Cloud. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started, and I will turn it over to Assistant Director of Residence Life, Bethany Gary. Take it away, Bethany.
All right, thanks, Matt. Hello, everyone. As Matt said, my name is Bethany Gary, and I serve as the Assistant Director of Residence Life here at Seton Hill. My office is located on low first floor, which is connected to Mara second floor. I'm actually right next door to Matt. So if you ever need anything, feel free to stop by. So today I'm just going to be talking a little bit about the basics of life on the Hill, living on campus, and then I'll offer some time at the end if you have any questions. If you have something about the slide that we're on, feel free to interrupt. This is going to be pretty chill and definitely not super formal. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And then also there's going to be some opportunities for some involvement and participation as well. So feel free to chime in on those as well.
I'm turning on the chat too. So the other session, we limited the chat. So I'll turn on the chat so everyone has the chance to chat in if you have questions. You also have the ability to unmute yourself. So if you'd like to ask a verbal question, you have the chance to unmute yourself during this session here.
Absolutely. Thanks, Matt. All right. So the first of all, we are really excited to have you here for the spring. I know it's hard to start school in the middle of a year, so we're all here to support you in any way that you can. And one thing to know is probably the reason why you chose Seton Hill is that we are a small campus, and we're also a small residence life department. So there's 5 of us total that make up the entire residence life department. So we really hope that we can get to know you and hope and make you feel welcome here on campus. I'm sure you'll get to know all of us pretty easily if you just walk up and down our hallway. So like I mentioned before, our offices are on the second floor of Mara and then kind of down the hall into the first floor of Low. If you're trying to find us, look for the picnic table outside, and you can come in the side door of Canavan and Low. And feel free to ask us any questions. There's going to be a lot of things that are different than a typical semester, so it's completely understandable to have some extra questions. Testing, quarantine, social contract, all of that stuff. One thing you'll find about Seton Hill is everybody is super friendly and very willing to help. So just let us know. All right. So you can get to know the team a little bit. I did use pictures with masks because we are going to be wearing masks still this semester. So you can get to know what our faces look like with masks on. So I'm here in the middle of the assistant director. This is my face without a mask and with a mask. So the first person for you to get to know is our director of residence life. His name is Corey Campbell, and he oversees our department. He's been here for a number of years and is very knowledgeable about Seton Hill overall, but specifically about residence life. He oversees a lot of the processes with occupancy, so rooms, keys, all of those kind of things, but he's able to answer any questions about residence life. My name is Bethany. As I said before, I serve as the assistant director. I oversee our staff here on campus, so our professional staff and our RA staff. And I can also answer any questions about residence life in general. I've only been here for 1.5 years, so I'm pretty new as well. But because everybody's so friendly, I've been able to kind of pick things up quickly. So I hope that you will be able to as well. Over here we have Shawnice. She's our area coordinator, and she oversees our first year halls. So she oversees Brownlee and Havey. So if you live in one of those 2 halls, she's the professional staff member who oversees your buildings. And she also supervises the resident assistants that work in those buildings. So if you have any questions, concerns related to Brownlee or Havey, Shawnice will be your go-to. Then we have Shamika over here. She is the resident director for Main Complex. So she oversees Canavan, Low, and Mara halls. And so she's the person that you can go to if you live in any of those halls. She will be your go-to professional staff member. And then over here is Amanda. She oversees Farrell, DeShantel, and Sisters of Charity Hall. She's a resident director as well. So similarly, if you live in any of those halls, that's mainly our suite style buildings. She would be your go-to person on the professional staff. But all of us are willing to help no matter where you live. So these are just so you can get to know some faces of who you'll see around campus. All right, so just talking a little bit about the residence halls that we have here on campus. Many of you may have already moved in or you might be moving in this weekend. So just want to give a general overview. So Brownlee, Havey, and Mara host most of our first year students. So if you are a first year student starting this semester, more than likely you live in one of those 3 halls. There's a few exceptions to the rule, but that's kind of the general rule of thumb. And then, as I mentioned before, DeShantel Farrell and Sisters of Charity are our suite style buildings, and they house our sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So we do have a 3-year residency requirement here on campus, or 6 semesters. So you will need to reside on campus for at least 6 semesters before you're permitted to move off campus, unless you are commuting from home. So these are great options as you're moving up within your career at Seton Hill as you become a sophomore, junior, senior. The suite style buildings have kind of some common areas within your suite and then some individual bedrooms, whereas Brownlee, Havey, and Mara are set up more like a traditional residence hall with double rooms and then bathrooms, common bathrooms down the hallway. Canov and Low halls are mainly for our sophomores, juniors, and seniors as well. And the entire building is all single rooms. So you would have your own bedroom, but then we do have the common bathrooms down the hallway in those particular residence halls. Also, each floor has at least one RA. Some have multiple RAs, which stands for resident assistant, and they can answer any questions, help you find your destination, introduce you to the other people in your community. They can refer you to resources here on campus. All of them have been here for at least 1 year, so they're very familiar with campus and can help get you to the right place if they're not sure of the answer. Has anyone ever heard of an RA before or know what that is? Feel free to chime in.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Good. What do you know about RAs, Guy?
Well, I used to go to St. Vincent, so
Yeah.
I had some dorm life before. But as far as I know, they make sure everything stays in order. Well, the way they did it up there, at least.
Absolutely. So they are definitely responsible for keeping our community safe and secure. They enforce our policies here on campus to make sure that everybody has a safe living environment. But that's only one part of their job. So they're also there just if you have questions or anything like that. But yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Guy. Anyone else? Alrighty. So you will get to know your RA as you move on to campus if you're living on campus, and they'll be a really good connection and resource for you. Also, if you are interested in becoming an RA, if that's something that you are interested in at all, our application process typically starts in the fall. We usually start toward the end of October, beginning of November. You'll start to see flyers and posters about applying for an RA or for the RA position. We typically allow students over the winter break to complete their application, and those are usually due within the first couple of weeks that we get back in the spring, and then we move into kind of our interview process and selection process. So RAs do receive free room and board. So if that's a perk that you would be interested in at any point, that is definitely a position we would encourage you to apply for. It's considered a leadership position on campus, and they do work very hard, but they get that free room and board perk for it. All right, so some additional items that are a little bit different this year than a traditional year. There are 2 social contracts that you will need to sign. I'm not sure if you've talked about those yet today. But basically, these are just some guidelines to make sure that we're keeping our campus community safe, especially during the time when we have a global pandemic going on. We are excited to offer in-person classes here at Seton Hill, but because we're doing that, we have to put in some extra precautions just to make sure that everybody is staying safe and healthy. So there are 2 separate social contracts. One is just for being a Seton Hill student in general, and then the second social contract is specifically for students living in the residence halls and is more applicable to residence hall specific things. So a couple highlights from those social contracts. First of all, you can find those social contracts on MyShoe. So if you go on MyShoe and go to documents and forms, you'll be able to search for the social contract. It has been updated a little bit for the spring semester, so make sure that you're viewing the most up-to-date one. So just a couple highlights from that is masks are required in the residence halls and everywhere on campus. The one exception to that is if you are in your own room with only yourself or your roommate, or if you're showering, bathing, brushing your teeth, those kind of things. Otherwise, you need to be wearing a mask at all times. So if you're in your room and you need to run to the restroom, if it's a common bathroom, you'll need to put your mask on to go to the bathroom. So that's a really big thing that masks have been shown to prevent the spread of COVID. So we're very, very serious about students wearing masks at all times. Another point here is the maximum occupancy of your room is twice the number of people who live there. So that means if you live in a double room in Brownlee or Havey, 2 people are assigned to live there, so you can have a maximum of 4 in your room at any time. So that's just to make sure that we're not having large gatherings, lots of people in close contact, because we really are enforcing that physical distancing here on campus. If you're living in a suite style building where you have maybe 4 or 5 people living in a suite, then you would be permitted to have 8 or 10 people in that room respectively. We do have a maximum occupancy of 10 people. So even if you live in a 6-person suite where typically that would be 12, 10 is our ultimate maximum occupancy. That got a little confusing for some students in the fall, so we just like to make sure that that is very clear. There's also occupancy limits in our common areas. So in our lounges, in the restrooms, in the laundry room, kitchens, any of those kind of common spaces within the residence halls, there are occupancy limits, and those will be posted with signs. So you'll see, I think most of the laundry rooms have an occupancy of 2. So that means if you see 2 other people in the laundry room, you need to wait your turn to go in there until one person leaves that space. So just make sure that you're being mindful of those signs as you're using the common areas. Also make sure that you're completing a daily self-check using the Safer Me app. Whenever you went to get your COVID test, if you got tested here on campus, they checked to make sure that you had the Safer Me app on your phone and then showed you how to use that daily self-check. So just make sure that you're doing that. Also, for this semester or for this academic year, only students are permitted within the residence halls. That means if families or parents or anybody are coming to help you move in, unfortunately, they are not permitted in the residence halls. We just need to make sure that we're limiting the amount of exposure of people going in and out of the building just to make sure we're keeping our community safe. That also means if you have like a sibling back home, they can't come to visit for this semester. Or if you have a significant other who goes to a different school and you're wanting them to come visit, unfortunately, you'll have to go somewhere off campus because we're not permitting guests within the residence halls. And then overnight guests are not permitted at all for this academic year. That's including students. So we do have visitation guidelines, and those are posted in all of the residence halls for the times that you're allowed to have visitors. But when those visitation hours have ended, we are asking everybody to leave the halls. All right, any questions? I know that was a lot of information. Matt?
I know I had a question that came to me once asking about like assistance for moving in. So when it comes to moving in, what advice do you have for students who are trying to manage moving all of their belongings in, but can't necessarily have the additional assistance of a family member?
Yeah. What we've had most students do is either have a friend who's also living in the hall help to move in, or sometimes if our RAs are available, they're always willing to help with the move-in process as well. Our RAs are in training today, but if we have anybody that's moving in over the weekend, and if you reach out to Residence Life and say, hey, I just really am going to need some help moving my belongings in, we can't guarantee anything, but we can definitely try to recruit some folks to help with that process. What we've seen for the most part is that parents will help gather everything and bring it to the door. And then the student would be responsible for actually moving it from the door into their room. I would recommend bringing like a hand cart or a dolly or a wagon or something like that, where you can load the items in there and just pull it to your room. So that's kind of what our guidelines have been for this semester. Great question, Matt. Any other questions about what we've covered so far or just anything in general? We have a couple more slides.
Can we have a mini fridge or whatever in our rooms?
Yeah, great question, Guy. You are permitted to have a mini fridge in your room. If you are living in Brownlee or Havey, however, or in Main Complex, you are not permitted to have a microwave. We do have a kitchenette or a kitchen in every single residence hall that has a refrigerator, microwave, stove, all of the things that you would need to cook or prepare food. But you are permitted to have a mini fridge in your room, but microwaves are only permitted in the suites, and we only permit microwaves 1 per suite. And that is mainly because our buildings are not new and it can overload our circuits if there's too many microwaves in the residence hall.
I do have a similar question along the lines of
Yeah,
that.
great.
I know my friend was saying you can't have anything that produces heat. Can we have
Correct.
something like a wax warmer though?
Yes, those are okay. The things that kind of plug into the wall, or if you have like a Sensi, which some people call them, those are okay. But nothing that you have to actually burn, like catch on fire. Like incense is a no-go, candles are a no-go, but wax warmers are okay.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Great question. No hot pots. So basically anything that glows red when you're using it. So a
Okay.
hot pot, toaster, any of those things. Great question.
What about like a kettle with an electric burner?
That one's a little gray for us. We typically say if you're going to use a appliance kind of like a kettle that doesn't have like an open heating element, you would have to use that in the kitchen. You can't use that in your room. It would need to be used in one of those kitchen areas.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. And there's also a Keurig in every community as well. So if you have your own K-cups, you can take your K-cup in your mug and take it down to the Keurig and use that. Because we don't permit the Keurigs or coffee pots in the first year halls either. Great questions on all those. If you have more questions about specific unapproved items or prohibited items, you can take a peek on the website, on the My Shoe website under policies, and you'll be able to see all the different items that are permitted. Most of them fall under the fire safety policy, if you want to see a more comprehensive list. All right, I'm going to keep moving. If you have other questions, feel free to chime in. So just some things to encourage you getting involved here while on campus. When I was in college, that is the best thing I could have ever done, was get involved with different clubs and organizations and just get to know other people on campus. So the first part of getting to know people and just kind of getting connected on campus is going to be to attend your first floor meeting, which will be taking place next week. So if you're living on campus, you'll get some information from your RA. That's either going to be an email or posters around the floor that say when your floor meeting is going to happen for your community. Those floor meetings are going to be virtual. It's something new that we're trying this year. Typically those are in person, but they will be a virtual floor meeting. And so they'll send out the link to either Google Meet or Zoom for you to participate in that floor meeting. That's a really great opportunity for you to get to know your RA and the other residents on your floor. Typically they're going to do some type of like icebreaker or getting to know you activity. And then they will also go more into depth about the specific residence hall policies, community standards, a little bit more about how to contact staff members if you need anything. So they'll go really into depth of an introduction to living in the residence halls. Outside of the residence halls, we would definitely encourage you to get involved with different clubs and organizations and honor societies on campus. If you haven't yet, I would recommend checking out Shine. Is anyone coming in to talk about Shine, Matt?
No, that is not a part of today's orientation sessions. This is more about like just getting ready. But
Okay.
For first year students, traditional first year students, we'll talk about it in connections, or transfer students, we'll have them connect with a transfer orientation leader who can always help them understand Shine as well.
Beautiful. So the basic way to know which clubs and things like that are on campus, just to give you a quick introduction, you'll get more in-depth information in connections. But when you go into My Shoe, there's like a little Rubik's Cube up in the top right corner. If you click that, that's the same place you get to your email and some other things for Seton Hill. You'll select Shine. And once you get on there, there will be a list of all of the organizations that we have here on campus. There's also a search bar. So if you're looking for something specific, you can type that in the search and it'll pull up whether that's an organization that we have available. If there's something that you're super passionate about, like I was talking to a student a couple weeks ago about songwriting. They're very much into songwriting and producing music, and we don't have any club or organization like that here on campus. So you have the opportunity to work with Michaud, who oversees our student involvement, in order to create your own student organization. It's a pretty easy process, and she can help you go through that. Seton Hill is also a campus that has lots of rich history and traditions that we have here on campus. If you're on the second floor of the administration building, you can see our centennial timeline, and that really goes through the history of the institution and how we came to be. It's a really awesome resource to get to learn a little bit more about how Seton Hill stands here today. If you are taking connections this semester, Matt will go into deep detail with you on that. And there will actually, I believe, be a homework assignment that will have you do some exploration of that timeline. But it's definitely very evident on campus that we are tied to our history and tied to our traditions. One of our 4 pillars is celebrating, and we celebrate everything here. There's a party, a get together, a celebration of some sort for everything. It's great. I would encourage you to meet new people, step outside of your comfort zone, and have an opportunity to just get to know different perspectives. I have some friends today. I haven't been in college for about 10, 11 years now, and some of my best friends today are people that I met in college. So it's an opportunity to get to know some folks and really build those relationships that are going to last a lifetime. Academics is very important. It is definitely not an easy academic workload here. It's going to challenge you, which means that you'll need to make sure that you're going to class, studying hard. But there's a ton of resources here on campus if you're needing some extra support with your academics. I'm sure that there will be some more information either in orientation or in connections about that. But we have tutoring and a variety of other resources. We also have a career and professional development center that can help with finding internships and jobs and things like that. So ways to kind of prepare you for your next step after Seton Hill. And the number one important goal for you while you're here at Seton Hill is to graduate. So to walk across that stage, hopefully by that point it will be a stage and not walking across that Zoom to get your diploma after you've completed your studies here at Seton Hill. That is our goal here as faculty and staff, is to get you to that stage and crossing at your graduation. Another really cool thing is getting to know our community here in Greensburg. It's a very small and safe community. There's lots of things to do, and there's some different ways to get around. So one of them is the Westmoreland County Transit Authority, which is our bus system here. If you actually Google Westmoreland County Transit, that will show you kind of all the different routes that are available. My spouse actually works in downtown Pittsburgh, and he takes the Westmoreland County Transit to get to Pittsburgh for his job. So there definitely are some ways to get into Pittsburgh or just around the Greensburg area. We also have an Amtrak station right here in Greensburg, and it's right at the bottom of the hill. So it's really convenient to have that if you're trying to travel back home or travel to any of the local cities. And we also have a regional, I think is what it's called, a local or regional airport in Latrobe, which is just about 15-20 minutes from campus. And a lot of times flights out of there can be pretty inexpensive. So there's lots of options if you're trying to fly somewhere. I do know that they actually have a direct flight, I think on Frontier Airline or Spirit, that goes to Florida, and it's only like $99. A tip that I learned though is if you actually go to the airport to book a flight, instead of booking it online, you can get a lot better deals. So if you have 15 minutes to drive to the Arnold Palmer Regional Airport in Latrobe, if you're looking to go to Florida especially, then you can look at those. Just kind of a random tip.
I've got some tips too. I'm glad I was here for this.
I learned that from one of our students, actually.
There you go.
Yes. And then just some attractions that we have in the area, things to check out. Pennsylvania Avenue is kind of our main strip in downtown Greensburg, where there's lots of little shops and boutiques, coffee shops, things like that. Definitely would recommend checking that out, some restaurants. We also have Twin Lakes Park, which is a really beautiful outdoor area that has trails. You can rent paddle boats. There's picnic pavilions. So lots of cool things to just, if the outdoors is your thing, or if you're trying to expand your comfort zones and do something new. We also have the mall here in town. There is a movie theater. Actually, right now they're running a deal where you can actually rent out an entire theater for $100. So if you're trying to find an activity to do with your friends, you can kind of split that up. I think there's an occupancy limit of how many people you can have, but something to look into at the AMC. Also, lots of amazing restaurants here in town and in kind of the local area. And then we have something called the Griffin Advantage Program. There's the link here if you want to type it out, or also this QR code right here. You can scan it with your phone. That'll take you right over to our Griffin Advantage Program. So basically, there's a variety of businesses here in town that if you show your student ID, your Seton Hill ID, you'll get discounts and deals on a lot of different things. A favorite of our students here on campus is the Chick-fil-A deal. So the Chick-fil-A that's located in front of Walmart, and it's only that location, you can get a chicken sandwich, a large waffle fry, and a large drink for like just over $4. It's a really good deal. I believe Cold Stone is like a 15 or 20% off discount. So there's lots of really awesome discounts on the Griffin Advantage program. So I would recommend checking that out. Alrighty, so that is the quick overview of residence life and just kind of life on the Hill. Any other questions that have come up?
For when I'm planning to move in over the weekend, like Sunday or
Yeah.
whatever. What would I do? Like, where would I drive? Like, how would I do all that? Like,
Absolutely.
ready.
Great question. So since our offices are not open over the weekend, you'll need to contact our on-call duty phone. Let me look up the phone number. I don't have it memorized, unfortunately. So you'll call this phone number and they will be able to meet up with you and get you your key and your ID and all of that stuff. So if everybody wants to write this down, I'll give you a second. It is 724-433-3945. And if Matt, can you put that in the chat?
Yeah. Can you repeat that and I'll type it up?
Yep. 724
Yeah.
433 3945.
3945, done.
And that is our duty phone number for just during this break period that you can call to get in touch with a staff member to get your key. We have individual on-call phone numbers for the different areas where people live. Those will be posted in the buildings once you move in, and that's how you'll get in touch with a staff member kind of here on out. But this number is kind of just as we're starting the semester. So you'll call that number, the staff, give them your name and where you're going to be moving into. The staff member will come meet with you to give you your key and then kind of give you directions for how to get to your residence hall. So more than likely, they're going to be meeting you in the administration building that's connected to Mara and Low. So if you just come up the hill and park right by where the admissions office is, I don't know if you all have been on campus, but if you came for an admissions tour, you'll park right in that same area. And then just call and we'll help you out. Does that answer your question, Guy?
Yeah, that did.
Okay. Anything else I can help y'all with?
What? This is going to sound like a weird question.
No question is too weird. You're good.
How? I don't even know how to word it. I am very directionally challenged and get lost very easily. How should I go about even like my first week at Seton? Because I went a day there and I managed to get myself locked in a stairwell.
Yeah, my entire first probably 2 months here was just trying to figure out how to navigate this building because you can go 18 different directions to get anywhere. I would recommend downloading a map on your phone. If you just go to the Seton Hill website and just type in map in the search bar, it'll bring up a PDF of a campus map. And I just saved it to my pictures on my phone. And anytime I need to get somewhere, I would pull it up. And then also in the main administration building on the first floor, kind of in the middle of the hallway, that's where kind of our campus operator sits. Her name is Sherry, and she is phenomenal. Any question that you have, she can help you get there. And she knows that for the first couple weeks, that's going to be her main job, is just helping people get around campus. And then we also have something for the first week of school called the Welcome Wagon, where we'll have tables set up in a couple different areas on campus, and we'll have some staff members, faculty and staff that are working at those tables. And the sole purpose is to just welcome students to campus and give directions for how to get to classrooms and those kind of things. So we'll have people around. And honestly, if you see a door open or cracked, just knock on it and say, hey, can you help me find XYZ? And literally anybody on campus will be willing to help.
Okay, thank you.
I'll also say that
Absolutely.
one of the things we put up is our orientation leaders and staff made what we call wayfinding signs. And so they'll start to put up signs all around main complex mainly to help you understand. So when Sister Maureen was telling you in the session earlier today, her office is near Campus Ministry Lounge on 2nd Mara. Well, where is that? So we have some signs that we put up around campus for the first week. I'll also say again, if you're in the connections class, you can always reach out to me. You might already have an email from me, and I can always get your class mentor connected with you. And they'd be happy to give you a tour whenever you're, cleared out of quarantine, and they as well. They'd be more than happy to give you a walk around campus, show you where your classrooms are. And transfer students, if you don't have an email from me, I'll make sure you get one from me soon. But again, we can have Bree, who's been a transfer student herself. She can always help you with that as well. More than happy to help you this week.
Okay. Good to know.
I've actually had students call my office and they're like, I am here and I don't know where to go. And I'll just say, okay, what's around you? Is there a bulletin board? Do you see a statue? Do you see an office number? And then I'll try my best to find them and then walk them wherever they need to go. So
I do have another question.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do a very specific thing to exercise daily. It's called Dance Dance Revolution, and it has like this big like pad. I don't think I can do that in my dorm room because I'm on the 4th floor of low, I think. Where is there a place that I could bring that to do it?
Probably the Campus Ministry Lounge might be a great place because I think there's a TV in there, but I'm not sure. Do you know, Matt? Maybe not.
I don't know. Are you worried about your room because of space or because of noise?
I'm just worried because it is it's a lot of jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, when I was in college, I was a big DDR fan, and the people below me hated me because I did do that in my room a lot. So I appreciate you being aware of that. Most of the lounges within the communities have a TV, and it has like an HDMI cord that you can hook things up to it. And most of the lounges are like over another lounge. So you wouldn't be disturbing people in their actual rooms. I'd recommend working with your RA, and they can help you find a space either on the floor or somewhere nearby that might work out.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I think that's it for my questions.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think I may know the answer to this already, but where's the arts building?
Great question. Matt?
Yeah, well, so what I would advise you to do is when you get to campus, classes don't start until Tuesday, and so the shuttle won't start until Tuesday. But one of the things that you'll notice is that when you're living up on the top of main campus, you'll want to take the shuttle down to the arts building most likely, unless you really like, walking and hiking and you don't have a lot to carry. But if you get here early and you have the chance, I'd advise you to go for a walk before classes start so you can even figure things out. But the arts building is down at the bottom of the hill. And so when you get down to the bottom of Seton Hill Drive, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's a tunnel that goes underneath the railroad tracks. And right on the other side there is where you have our Seton Hill Arts Center and then the Performing Arts Center right next to each other. And so those we typically will call our downtown campus, but really it's 1 block away from the main drag down there. So those 2 arts buildings are located downtown.
Okay.
And so most likely what you'll want to do is you'll want to figure out when your class schedule and then the shuttle schedule. And because you're hoping that the shuttle will work exactly at the right time to get you there, but more than likely or not, you're going to want to prepare to either get to the shuttle stop early or to just walk. And typically, I believe you can always check with Chief Proctor or Campus Police when you pick up your parking pass. But or do you have a car? Are you picking up a parking pass?
Yeah, I'm picking up a parking pass.
Because they can always talk to you about the shuttle as well. But I believe the shuttle stop is right in front of the administration building. So that's probably going to be your best bet for picking it up. But I don't know if the path of the shuttle has changed. So you'll definitely want to get a feel for where is the stop right before you have to pick it up to then get to downtown in a short amount of time.
Okay.
What building are you living in, Guy?
Low.
Low. Okay. And you may also find some people that live on your floor who are also arts majors, because a lot of times they'll walk together or figure out how to get down there together.
Yep.
So do you know which floor you're on by chance?
Floor 2.
Floor 2. Sven is your RA. And he's really great about showing people around campus. He's actually one of our campus influencers, if you follow us on Instagram. But I'm trying to see if there's anybody else in Canevin-Low who is an arts major. I would have to double check, but we can get you connected with somebody who can help you out with that.
Okay.
I know my friend Dale is a performing arts major, and he lives on Canevin, floor 2.
Oh, yes,
So
Dale
he might
is
be able to help.
wonderful.
Yeah, he might be able
Thanks,
to help.
Grace.
Yep.
Making
Networking.
connections. Exactly. All right, good questions, everybody. So this is our contact information here. This is Corey. He's our Director of Residence Life. And then my email address is here. Feel free to reach out for anything. If I don't know the answer, I usually know who to ask to figure it out. But it was really great spending some time with you all. Can't wait to meet you around campus.
Yep.
And we'll talk with you later.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.